Hey, so I'm here with Ryan Kelley to talk about the movie Prayers for Bobby. Hi, Ryan.
How's it going?
It's going well. So we got a few questions about Prayers for Bobby because this year has been 15 years since that movie was released. Like, talk about that. Like, how does that feel?
Okay, so 15 years. I mean, I'm getting old. At times, like if I think about it, like if I really think about it, it's like no way can that be 15 years. And then other times it does feel like a world. It just depends, but it's such a fond memory in my life after we completed filming.
Mhm.
That I think that's why it doesn't feel like 15 years because I had such a good time. I have a lot of memories, a lot of great memories from it. But yeah, I'm getting old.
I remember watching it and it came out on Lifetime, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that if they had came up with this idea to talk about this story now, it would it have gotten a wider release, or do you think they'd still do it for TV?
Oh, okay. That's a great question. Well, I originally, as first as you started saying that, I was like, oh, definitely, because I was thinking like social media, and then you hit me with the TV. Okay, like now today with social media, TikTok, all that things that people do, I think there would have been
Hmm.
clips, and I think it definitely would have been bigger. Do I know if it would have been a bit? The cool thing about Lifetime at the time, they were trying to do bigger,
Hmm.
more prestigious films, and Prayers for Bobby was one of them. I think there was like three of them that they did. So I don't want to knock Lifetime because at the time they put a lot of money and a lot of effort into it, and they did get a lot of eyes on it. So, it's not a typical Lifetime film that my mom loves. I mean, my mom did love Prayers for Bobby, but it's not the cheesy low budget,
Hmm.
murder mystery. It was they spend some money and they put a lot of effort into it. So I don't want to knock them for that. But I mean, in this, maybe. I mean, I would hope just because then there'd be even more eyes. But I mean, even if it was just released now for the first time on Lifetime and Lifetime did the same thing that they did with it with TikTok, Instagram, things like that, I think it would have been even bigger than it already was.
I would also wonder, like, even if it was just put on streaming, it probably still would have hit off, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, I didn't even think about that. Well, imagine if it came out during COVID, like popped
Yeah.
on one of the streaming services, the big ones when, yeah, because that's another way that, stuff just blows up. And again, and then something on streaming, and then you add like social media into it, it just goes, viral.
Hmm. With a bigger push these days for having queer representation and stories about the queer community, do you think this show would still have as deep of an impact, today, coming out today?
Yes, I do. Because the message is so powerful. Um, there's a lot of great movies and a lot of stuff on in the entertainment on with great message, but Prayers is next level. I mean, it was a great time back then, and it definitely needed to come out. But we're still not where we'd like it in a lot of aspects in life. Especially in the LGBTQ community. So yes, I think if it came out now, it still would be as impactful. Like I said, I think it would be. I know it would have gone viral. Like if that was a word that wasn't around in 2009,
Hmm.
not really. I know it would go viral today just because of some of the clips and how powerfully. Like I can already think in my head like clips that like I would see on TikTok, and then if you imagine scrolling through that, being like, oh, what movie is that? I want to see. Like it'd be
Hmm.
so powerful. But yeah, it came out at a great time. We got really lucky that message came out at the time that it did. It needed to. But like I said, we're not where we need to be still. So any message that's coming out like that, that's powerful and impactful like that, is still going to do great to the world.
How did these major themes in this movie affect you while you were filming?
Whoo, okay. That's a,
I mean, you had quite a role playing
yeah,
Bobby,
yeah.
so.
So that's another crazy thing. I've talked about this. People, if they know me, they know this. That's another reason why this film is so dear to my heart because for me, filming it was, you know, miserable. It was not
Mhm.
a fun experience. Yes, there were times like, I was alongside Sigourney Weaver and the producers, Daniel Slottick, Chris Taft, David Perm. They were amazing to me. However, and everyone around the set was fun, but because I was in supposed to play a character who was in such a dark state of mind, and it's a true story, so his diary was around. You could read that, and it
Mhm.
just made it for me as an actor. I can't go in and out. I can't go in the shadows and then come out to the sunlight like some actors can by snapping their fingers. if I come into the sunlight, I'm in the sunlight. I'm like, it's hard for me to get back in the so I would stay in the shadows. Like I tell this story. Sigourney, she's this mega A-lister, and people are scared of her day one because they're like, is she gonna be cool? Is she gonna be? She got a huge ego, which like everyone knows who she is. And she sat in the middle of the lunch table, like day one or day two, and everyone like avoided her, and they were like making makeshift tables to not bother her. And by like the end of the first week, everyone was fighting to sit next to her because she would, not only a great person, but have these stories because she's been in Hollywood and her family's been in Hollywood for forever. And I would hear these and be like, I want to go, I can't. And I'd have to like,
Mhm.
so for me, filming was tough. Like even on weekends, I didn't want to have, I didn't do much, like I tried to stay, especially Sundays. I was trying getting right back into it, learning my lines, and it would bring me right back in. So I would let loose a little bit Saturdays or try to just not think about it and come into the light. But while filming, there was every day I had a scene that was super tough for me. So for me, filming was miserable. When I finished, it was a giant relief off of my shoulders. And I was so proud, like I stuck through it, I did it. And then that's really when I started enjoying it, when the magic happened for me because, we got to start helping. I got to do some stuff with the Trevor Project. We went to the Pride Parade. I start to meet families who saw the film and their parents or even siblings would come and tell me how the movie changed their life or how the person that watching it changed their life. And that was amazing. And so I have these two different experiences. One was miserable. I'm proud of that, but it was
Mhm.
tough. It was, I was in Michigan filming and it was weeks of intense scenes and just trying to do my best and fulfill, the duty of this character that's so important and so impactful that it was tough. So for me, while filming it, I was just focused in and I was just trying to channel my version of Bobby. And that's it, nothing else. And then it was after filming really when I got to, also let loose and kind of think about it more and enjoy it. But still, trust me, there's still some sad stuff too. I meet kids where their families watched it and didn't take anything away from it. And then hope, and my hope is that they took away that they're not alone. Even if their family is still like that, that they're not alone. There's other people out there like that. So there's still some tough stuff that
Mhm.
I experienced, stuff that makes you just want to break down and cry. But again, the hope is that you let them know that they're not alone and try to put a smile on their face. So again, for me, filming was rough. Afterwards was awesome.
So that kind of like leads into my next question. Do you still feel the same like level of love and appreciation
Oh,
for the role and things like that?
more. Honestly, I feel more. So here's the thing. I took it for granted a little bit. And I don't mean in a disrespectful way, but when I was younger, I was just it was still early on in my career, so I just thought this type of film was normal, and I was going to have a boatload of these. Prayers for Bobby is like my special gem. Like
Mhm.
I would love to do more films as impactful, but I haven't had one. And trust me, I've done some other stuff where it impacts people's lives and it's really cool. You meet people who love Teen Wolf that say it changed their lives, and it absolutely can. However, Prayers was next level. Like I said, meeting a father who's in the military, and you could just tell just not anything prayers related, right?
Mhm.
And he'd come and shake your hand and be like, "You really changed the way I look at my daughter," and you just like, "I was just an actor. That's amazing." So yeah, uh, it it's still now. I mean, watching the film, it's still I still have the same feelings, and now I'm so thankful that I was a part of that because I know a lot of actors that I've worked with or that are friends of mine in Hollywood that haven't done something like that. So I count my blessings on that, and every day. I always in the back of my head am like, I would love one more project like that.
Mhm.
One that can change people's lives like that. That would be really, 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 really cool. But if not, then I'm beyond blessed to have done prayers.
Now, Bobby was a person who really existed, who really lived, did you have any interaction with his family members at all when filming?
Yeah, I met some of his family. It's been so long I can't remember all of them. I met a handful of them, but I also met Mary, and that was a surreal experience because
Mhm.
in talking with her, she let me read his journal. Sorry, not even his journal. She was beyond generous and open. And again, if that happened to me, most people, if that happened to their son, they're going to do the thing where like, well, the devil got a hold of my son. She did a 180, and then on top of that is willing to talk about it. And you know, the way she was so open with me was incredible because still as an adult, I don't know if I'm that open with people, especially something like that, like, like being like, hey, had a hand in killing your son, and she's 100% like, I did, I'm the cause, and I will try till I die to fix that wrong.
Mhm.
And powerful, because you think of a mom, and you see this woman, and she was so loving and so giving. She's done a ton of stuff for people's rights after. And you just think like, how did this amazing human, how did that, it doesn't add up. I don't see it. How is that possible? Because humans don't, yes, humans can change, but more often not, they don't. And
Mhm.
that's why it's just a bigger testament to how great of a person she is, that she was able to see her wrongs and acknowledge them, to face them, and change.
So you played this character, and I mean, he obviously made an impact on people that watched the film. Were there anything that you learned specifically from him that he taught you?
I mean, there's a ton of lessons you could take. But just in terms of reading his diary and talking to his family, like, that it didn't correlate to them. People knew that he was unhappy at times, but they thought he was, happy, and that life was great. And when you read it's like it wasn't. And so for me, it's never judge a book by its cover. I know it's a cliche thing to say, but it's so true, because you go through life, and maybe you snap at someone and you're like, well, they shouldn't, it's like you have no idea what that person's going through. And
Mm.
that snap that you just did might send them over the edge. Same thing with kindness, like hugging a stranger, or holding the door for someone, something insignificant and stupid, could change someone's mentality if they're in a really dark spot. Maybe I'm not saying you for sure could, but maybe being choosing kindness over the other human emotions could potentially save someone's life, or at least make their day 1,000 times better. And growing up, you're taught stuff like that, how to be a good person. But again, I never had to go through the things that Bobby went through. So again, read it, you're just like, oh, whoa, so it was eye-opening to me. And I'd like to think I grew a lot as a human, hopefully for the better. And like I said, for me, it's just, you never know what someone's going through. They might look like they have everything, and maybe they're in the biggest hole ever, struggling inside. Or, maybe, someone who looks kind of grumpy is actually incredibly happy. You just don't know. Like, you can't judge a book by its cover. You gotta just assume, you just gotta be good to people. Just be kind, that's it. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Pretty simple, right?
This film really dives into how religion can affect how families view their queer children. Do you think a story like that would still have relevance today? Like, do you still think that's a problem with queer individuals and their families?
Absolutely. Um, Sadly, there's listen, in religion, there's a lot of great things, but there's also a lot of people that take the greatness of religion and do wrong with it. Or take their interpretation or someone else's interpretation and roll with it, instead of trying to, I don't know, it's so definitely. I mean, sadly, that's something that's never going to go away. I would love to sit here and say it's getting better and better and better. It's not, because it doesn't even have to be religion. It's just people's views. Like, humans are interesting creatures, and my favorite thing to always say is, like, no child is born with hate. You could put any type of children together when they're children, and they don't have hate. It's taught to them, or it's learned. So, you know sadly, that's never going to go away, because even if there was no sexes or races or things, like, there's always going to be something that where humans then feel the need to lash out at something else to make themselves feel better. I mean, insecurities is a huge issue, with a lot of things. And like I said, sadly, I wish it's getting better, but it's not, and I don't think it ever will. However, I definitely think it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. Information is amazing. Another thing with Bobby is he didn't have the internet. Like, now, TikTok, and, like, even if you want, like, a kid could sneak this at home. Like, it's not even like, I couldn't have a cell phone when I was growing up. That wasn't allowed. Well, now pretty much every kid has a cell phone, and they're smart enough to figure out ways to trick their parents into having social media on there, even if they, maybe they have smarter parents, but kids are smart with technology. They'll find a way. And if they're getting held down or being told hateful things, hopefully they can get on the internet somewhere at some time and realize, yo, this is not okay, and I'm not alone. And I know something that would have helped Bobby a lot. The internet for as terrible as the internet can be, it can also be amazing, bringing people together, letting people know, like, hey, you're in a rough time right now, but I promise you it's going to get better. And at some point in your life, you're going to be around people that understand you, that love you, and accept you for who you are, no matter what.
All right, my final question. It's been 15 years. What do you hope someone watching this film for the first time takes away from it? Whether they're queer or straight or whatever.
My hope is it someone who's on the verge or on the line of, like, maybe being closed-minded, like, or not quite sure, or, being like, I don't, I've never been around, or someone who's ignorant, just from the product of their upbringing, hopefully sees that and it changes their mind to let them know, we're all human. Um, there's a million amazing messages in the film, and I would love, even a person who is queer and out and happy and their family loves them and things like that, I would love them to get a great positive message out of the film too. But I really hope um, people watch it that are on the on the verge,
Mhm.
and it at least makes them think, even if it doesn't change their mind, it at least makes them think. And then the hope would be it does change their mind. And I think the film has done that a lot. I know it has because I've talked with a lot of people. And so my hope is it just continues to do that. It still gets played on the air. People still talk about it. I do conventions all over the world, and there's still, it never fails, people there just for prayers for Bobby, even if it's for something else I've done. The film had an incredible impact on a lot of people, and especially
Mhm.
people growing up gay. And it's talked about, like, I can't tell you how many times someone would be like, "Oh, you're that guy from," and then someone else would be like, "What's that movie?" And I'm like, "Oh my, you haven't seen Prayers for Bobby? You got to see it. Don't watch it, if you have something to do that night, but it's one of my favorite films. It is so good. And he's Bobby. And that happens all the time. And so it's, I don't hope, I know it's still doing it, but if I could steer people that need to watch it, it'd be the ones that are right on the edge, not the ones that are too far gone. Those can't do anything about that. But the people that are on
Mhm.
the edge that just aren't quite sure, I'd love for them to watch it and then be like, oh, I have a lot of those similar thoughts for different things. And, my dark times are similar to his dark times, but it's a different, like, he's human, we're human, I'm human, bang, and like I said, hopefully
Mhm.
it makes them just think. That's all you need to do is just start getting people to think rather than just repeat hate that they've been taught somewhere along the line.
Well, I thank you so much for taking time today to talk to me about this film.
I can't
Um,
thank you for making me feel old. Thank you. It's lovely to let me. I didn't even at 15 years of crazy.
it's
Ah.
crazy. It's crazy.